Hey, it's Rachel Cooke, your modern mentor. I'm the founder of Lead Above Noise, where we help leaders design work so that results, wellness, and engagement all thrive together. And if you're a leader of a team wishing that you could get more from, but also do more for your team, you're in luck. I'll be hosting a complimentary webinar on this very topic on September 17th, 2025 at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can learn more and register for free at leadabovenoise.com/workdesign. And I also speak to executive teams who could use a boost of inspiration and clarity on how to move the needle. You know, leadabovenoise.com. So let's get on to today's episode, which you may not be shocked to learn is about work design. What it is, what trends I'm seeing that may be relevant for you. So let's start by answering a simple question. What the bleep is work design? So think of it like this. If you've ever heard of org design, this for me is about the container that we work in. This is the org charts and structures, the policies and culture. And to change it, we need necessarily our senior-most leaders involved and driving the change. But work design, this is the stuff that happens inside of the container. It's things like how we communicate, how we prioritize, how we collaborate and create and learn. This is the work that we can influence from wherever we sit. I run these leader labs where I teach and we practice a methodology for finding spots where your teams are getting stuck, and then finding small but meaningful and most importantly relevant tweaks to help get them unstuck. And real shifts, meaningful ones, are taking shape. Since I get to see leaders from a variety of industries make this happen, I wanted to share with you 4 of the work design trends that I'm seeing right now, because maybe there's an insight here for you. And don't forget to join me for a live conversation where you can register at leadabovenoise.com/workdesign. Okay, so the first trend, it's clearing the swirl through smarter communication. Probably the most consistent tension I'm hearing right now is this sense of swirling, this unclarity. Teams feel like they're chasing moving targets. Priorities keep shifting, direction isn't always clear, and the result is exhaustion and inefficiency and rework. People want to do good work. Having the space cleared for them to do so, it actually energizes us. It's an antidote to burnout. But so many of us are struggling to even understand what good looks like when the wind keeps shifting course. In the face of so much chaos, this may sound like an insurmountable problem, because we can't change the volume of change that we're experiencing. But leaders at any level of an organization actually have so much power to change our experience of it, our ability to understand it, by simply making tweaks to team communication. We do not need major overhauls. We definitely do not need more corporate communication, but just better design of conversations. One leader in my recent cohort shared that she'd been sending weekly Friday update emails to her team, and yet somehow they still didn't seem aligned to some key ideas. So she experimented with just making it a 15-minute live conversation, and she was blown away by the impact of that small shift. She told me, I realized that a few basics were unclear, and through this conversation, I got to fix that. And not only that, I learned a few new things from my team members that I too had been missing. All in all, it was a win. The point, just playing with a few tactics can quickly change our outcomes. No change to the container required. Next trend, escaping autopilot by regrounding in purpose. Another theme that's been popping up on repeat is the spirit of, meh. Teams are going through the motions. They're not dropping balls necessarily, but they're not particularly committed or curious. They're moving through tasks, but there's no real ownership or desire to make things better. When I challenge leaders in the lab to explore this with their teams, they're largely realizing it's not a lack of care. It's a lack of connection between the stuff, the tasks and meetings and dashboards, to an impact that anyone cares about or can even see. And when this connection gets lost, our work becomes really mechanical. Some leaders in the lab are reworking how they launch new projects. One now opens every planning session with a simple prompt. Who is this for? What change are we trying to create? It reminds their team of just who the customer is and how they're making their lives even a little bit better. Another one started pairing metrics with mission. So when they talk about dashboards or deadlines, they also connect the dots back to the customer or the patient or the community on the receiving end. Another started soliciting feedback from customers and then sharing that feedback with her team, making sure they understand the direct link between this customer's experience and how their analytic work contributed to that experience. One leader told me he was surprised by how many people didn't know why certain processes even existed. So now, instead of just focusing on tasks, he's remembering to narrate the impact. The point isn't to give a motivational speech. It's about making the work feel more meaningful by anchoring it to something that matters. The next trend I'm seeing is building a culture of community. There's also a noticeable uptick in friction across teams. There are turf wars over shared resources, disagreements over direction, and leaders are realizing their people aren't working against each other on purpose, but different teams are hearing different things, and that misalignment is eroding collaboration. Some leaders are addressing this by creating more intentional cross-team connection. One cohort participant initiated a monthly alignment forum, where leaders from different functions come together, align on top priorities and key messages, and then cascade it to their teams all together to ensure everyone's hearing the same thing. Others are leaning into community and building more directly. One leader launched informal, cross-functional coffee chats. They are randomly pairing employees from different departments every month. Just to chat, just to explore what the other is working on, what they're interested in. Another leader brought in an outside facilitator to run these partnership accelerators, structured sessions where teams learn each other's goals and explore how they can help each other rather than hinder. The outcome was less confusion and more cohesion. And the final trend I wanted to talk about today was reigniting learning and creativity. I'm hearing about a kind of workplace flatness. Leaders say their teams are keeping things safe, and things feel stale, predictable, not in a great way. There's a sense that new ideas aren't flowing, and their competitive edge is starting to slip. The common realization, it's that learning has taken a back seat. And while there may not be time or budget for offsites or conferences, some leaders are starting to get creative. They're building learning into the work. One spun up a monthly Hack the Problem series. There are these small cross-functional teams that come together. They're given one real challenge and a week to come up with some new ideas. Another one identified internal AI experts, which is, of course, all the rage, and they launched an informal AI learning circle. Still others are simply giving time back, blocking a couple of hours a month for curiosity time, where team members can read or watch or listen or explore anything that might spark a new insight. It's not about adding work. It's about making space for better thinking inside of the work. So here's the takeaway. We don't need organizational overhauls to shift how work feels, flows, and performs. We just need to start redesigning the small moments inside the work, the ways we communicate and connect and learn and grow. These are things that we can do right now without waiting or asking permission, and they make a real difference. The teams I see doing this work, they're not just getting more done, they're getting better work done, and they're doing it with more energy and clarity and purpose. So if you're feeling stuck or flat or out of sync, don't wait for change to roll down from above. Start designing the work from where you are. Learn more about how to do this at my webinar. Don't forget to register at leadabovenoise.com/workdesign. And if your executive leaders are on the hunt for some ways to reinvigorate the organization from the top, I'd love to deliver a talk on this. Head over to leadabovenoise.com/connect and hit me with your contact info. Join me next week for another great episode. If you're interested in running an actionable work design lab for a cohort of your leaders, head over to leadabovenoise.com/connect and fill out the form. You can follow Modern Mentor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Find and follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for listening and have a successful week. Modern Mentor is a quick and dirty tips podcast. It's audio engineered by Dan Farabend. Our director of podcasts is Holly Hutchings. Our podcast and advertising operations specialist is Morgan Christensen. Our marketing contractor is Nathaniel Hoops.